Welcome back to T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. As many of you know, IBMA, International Bluegrass Music Association, it's bringing its annual trade show, award ceremony, and World of Bluegrass Festival to Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I'm as giddy as a small child on Christmas morning. I'm equally giddy to share my next interview with you where we get into all things IBMA. So giddy, in fact, let's just jump in head first right now. Today, I have Ken White, the Executive Director for IBMA. For those of you listening that aren't familiar with the IBMA, it's the International Bluegrass Music Association, the nonprofit music association that connects, educates, and empowers bluegrass professionals and enthusiasts, honoring tradition and encouraging innovation in the bluegrass community worldwide. Ken, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Trevor.
Really excited about the upcoming changes with IBMA bringing their World of Bluegrass and annual trade show, convention, and award ceremony to Chattanooga, Tennessee this September.
Oh, yeah, it should be a great celebration.
And this is new for IBMA. You've been in Raleigh for the last, is it 9 years?
It's 12 years.
12 years, okay. And what kind of motivated something new and fresh?
Well, I would just say that any other organization that had an annual conference, they usually change cities every year or two. So the fact that we were able to stay in Raleigh for 12 is amazing in and of itself. But Raleigh was a great home and they were great partners. But I think it was time for us to create new relationships. And the people of Chattanooga really welcomed us with open arms.
Well, I can't tell you how excited I am to have you coming to town. I have always been aware of IBMA's annual festival and certainly paid more attention to the festival itself when I was more of a fan and a little less involved in the industry. But since I have launched the podcast and I have gotten more involved, I'm as excited about the trade show and the convention and the daytime events towards the beginning of the week. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the business conference starts on Tuesday. It kicks off with our keynote address, and that's always educative and entertaining, I would say. And then there are lots of sessions and panels throughout the remainder of the days. You get to rub shoulders with all the business leaders in our industry there. And, you know, as with anything in business, there are no new problems. So hearing how other people solve problems and approach things is always beneficial, no matter what business you're in. And then also getting to peek behind the curtain, how the music is made and how it's shared is always informative too, no matter what your level of interest. So yeah, the conference is great.
Now, and that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or just Tuesday, Wednesday?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, so the 16th, 17th, and 18th of September.
And then at the Chattanooga Convention Center.
Now, so that's something that even a bluegrass fan would appreciate, even somebody that's not professionally involved in bluegrass?
For sure. Again, there's programming in the works that I am not really ready to announce, but I think any fan of bluegrass, if you're willing to take a little bit deeper dive, will be edified by coming for sure.
Now, is this the 40th anniversary of IBMA or the 40th anniversary of the convention trade show? What anniversary are we celebrating?
It's of the organization itself.
Okay.
And it started, a group of bluegrass professionals and business leaders gathered here in Nashville and realized they needed to band together and work as a unit. You know, bluegrass is kind of a grassroots music in and of itself and business too. So a lot of entrepreneurial minds and spirits within our industry. And, you know, they had the foresight to realize that they needed to work together. And that's, IBMA was born out of that 40 years ago.
And one of the things that I think, at least on my end, IBMA is most known for is the awards and the recognition for individuals that either accomplished or stood out or have done something unique in the industry.
Yeah, definitely. And that is so much of what we do as an organization really comes from the awards process. And I, you know, every time I see an artist play, usually their introduction or their press materials lead with the IBMA awards that they have won. So it really holds a lot of cachet. And yeah, for me, also electing members to the Hall of Fame, that's probably one of the best parts of my job is getting to go interface with the legends that were my heroes when I was learning to play. So yeah.
And you're referring to the Bluegrass Hall of Fame in Owensboro, Kentucky?
Yes, part of our awards and mission is that IBMA itself elects 3 Hall of Famers every year, and then we honor them at the award show, which will be September 18th there in Chattanooga. And then their plaque resides in Owensboro at the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum.
And the nominees, were they announced yesterday, or is it just the
Well, the nominees for all the awards music awards were announced yesterday, and we announced the folks that were elected to the Hall of Fame, and those are Hot Rise and the Bluegrass Cardinals, and our early contributor is Arnold Schultz, black man who was a musician in Rosine, Kentucky area who gave Bill Monroe his first paying gig and who influenced his playing.
that's spectacular?
Yep. It's great that Arnold is getting that recognition and that we can honor him.
And we don't have time to go through all the awards nominations today, but one I just noticed that really jumped out at me for Fiddle Player of the Year.
Oh, that's a stacked category.
It's a stacked category. But Bronwyn, Keith Hines, and Jason Carter, who many of my listeners may know are married.
Yep.
In addition, Michael Cleveland, who many of the listeners may know, is currently doing a project with Jason Carter.
Yep.
So
a lot of ties here. I will say, we're all related somehow, right?
I'm wondering if they all hope either if they don't win that somebody that wasn't of those 3 wins, so they don't have the inner circle rivalry there.
I think we just need to have a closed cage fiddle off between 5 contestants and just see who comes out alive.
So I think that'd be a lot of fun. A little cage match. We'll let them hash it out for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, in addition, there's also the Bluegrass Ramble, correct? Which is a bunch of, I don't want to say lesser known bands, but maybe up and coming bands. Or tell me a little bit about the Ramble.
Okay, so those are our artists that we'll showcase in local venues there in Chattanooga. There are 5 different venues and there are 30 different bands. There are a lot of up and coming bands, but there are also some tried and true professional long timers. The goal of is to get in front of talent buyers or other business professionals, to make relationships. So it doesn't matter if you've just started playing or if you've been playing for 50 years. There's still value in getting out and letting people see what you do because, bluegrass is international and our ramble is sometimes it's the best place to get all the talent buyers in one room at one time. So yeah, there's a great array of talent and styles and personalities will be part of the Bluegrass Ramble. And again, this is not just for talent buyers. I think local Chattanooga folks that are just bluegrass curious, if you will, could see some amazing things if they came down to one of these 5 venues to see the Ramble.
And what are those 5 venues?
We're going with Songbirds, Hi-Fi Clydes, Barrel House Ballroom, Comedy Catch, and Gate 11. So they're all within a couple of blocks of each other, very walkable.
All pretty much up and down Main Street, it sounds like. So is there a ticket specifically for that to get into these clubs and venues?
There is. I believe if you buy a conference pass, that's part of it. But if you don't want to attend conference, you can buy a Ramble ticket by itself, and you'll have access to all those venues over the course of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Now, I'm a little biased. I absolutely love the intimacy that bluegrass, especially these up and coming bands, can oftentimes provide. Seeing them in front of 50 or maybe 100 people, the complete and total opposite of what a lot of my listeners probably recognize Billy Strings as being, selling out 25,000 person arenas. The exact opposite. Now, I believe it is not associated with the IBMA, but Billy and Brian Sutton are performing on the 16th, and then Billy Strings Band is performing on the 17th in Chattanooga.
I heard something about that. Yeah.
in a small venue. And I was very lucky that I was able to get tickets to both nights,
Wow,
which is,
you are lucky.
yeah, I won the lottery there. But I'm already kind of getting FOMO and freaked out because I've seen Billy Strings so many times. I've seen Billy and
Wow.
Brian Sutton before. I know
Yep.
exactly what that's about, but I'm already a little stressed out because there's a lot of bands coming to the Ramble that I may never get an opportunity to see again. Geographically, they might be traveling even from out of the country.
Well, that is definitely a FOMO problem. I will say, yes, Billy's performances are not directly affiliated with IBMA, but he wanted to come to IBMA this year, and this was the best way that he can make that happen. With that, I don't know Billy's plans, so I don't want to speak for him, but you know how he works. I wouldn't be surprised if he pops up in some of those other venues throughout the night and over those few days. So keep your eyes peeled.
And, you know, that kind of leads to, is there going to be any place in Chattanooga that will be sheltered from banjo music? It looks like you're kind of taking over the whole downtown area, it seems like.
Well, that's sort of the plan, right? You know, you want it to be a citywide interactive experience. So, you know, our audience, most of them are players themselves. So there's going to be jamming in every nook and cranny of every space, not just in our hotels and our venues, but, you know, all over the city. I know also that there are several businesses that are interested in having bluegrass bands perform throughout the week. So it's just going to be everywhere. So if you don't like bluegrass or if you don't like the banjo, you might consider taking a vacation that week.
You could probably do all right putting your home on Airbnb for the week.
100%.
Well, I know when I went ahead and booked a hotel room to be part of it, there was actually the designation jamming floors and non-jamming floors. And
Yes.
I've never been to IBMA directly. I've been to Spigma, which, you know, is a hotel trade show, whatever you want to call it. There's not really going to be a non-jamming floor, is there?
Well, you know, it is hard to enforce, but at least you start with the best intentions, right? And I think the designation is as much because of part of the phenomenon of IBMA World of Bluegrass are that there are showcase suites in hotel rooms, like record labels or artists or other people that aren't a part of the Ramble still want to be able to showcase bands. And so those jamming floors will also feature suites where performances will take place. So that's another reason. And again, on the jamming floors, you know, people are going to play music until daybreak. If you want to be close to the action, but you want to at least have a nap, choose a non-jamming floor.
Well, I think the jamming floor sold out within minutes. I mean, it was it was like trying to get a Billy Strings ticket.
And now let's take a quick break for a message from our sponsor.
1, 2. It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Hello, I'm Trevor Shaw. I'm not just a bluegrass aficionado. I'm a bluegrass aficionado that's a mortgage loan officer at Chat Mortgage in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'd be honored for the opportunity to help you get your residential mortgage loan or refinance anywhere in Tennessee, Georgia, or Colorado. From veterans using their hard-earned benefits to first-time home buyers needing down payment assistance to retirees finally getting the home they've always dreamed of. Call or text me today at 864-50-T-SHAW. That's 864-50-T-SHAW.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Chat Mortgage is powered by Almeida Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 271603. Chat Mortgage is located at 6650 East Brainerd Road, Suite 208 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Phone number 423-591-9801. Trevor Shaw, NMLS number 92938.
Now, This is a massive operation so you're turning downtown Miller Park, Miller Plaza into the main event
Yeah,
festival at the end of the week.
the festival is probably going to be the biggest shift from what we've done in years past. We wanted to go to a multi-stage, fully ticketed event. And, there is no arena or amphitheater in downtown Chattanooga, but we wanted to stay close to our footprint. So we're kind of building a venue between Miller Park, Miller Plaza, and Patton Square. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of activations outside the paid footprint too. So it's going to be quite the spectacle.
Now, is the city going to be closing down some streets to help accommodate the festival itself, or do we know
Oh,
at this
oh,
point?
definitely. Yeah, we've been working with the city and emergency services on just that. I know Street will be closed, and MLK. Between the venues, there are several, and I don't have it in front of me, but there will be maps of what festival footprint is and what the street closures are. But again, the city has been great to work with, and
Well, and you had mentioned at the very beginning that it was time for a change when you relocated to Chattanooga. And the agreement with Chattanooga is 3 years. Is that correct?
yes, it is. We contract in 3-year segments. I'm hoping that this is going to be such a success that everybody wants us to stay for 12 years, but we'll take it 3 years at a time.
Well, what does the city need to do? Who do I need to influence to make sure this 3 years is extended?
I think it's as much on us as it is the city. It's just making sure that people show up and have a good time, that they feel safe and are wanting to spend their dollars. It's one of our, well, there are two big partners that helped make this happen. One is the state of Tennessee. Tennessee Sounds Perfect, the tourism division, and then Chattanooga Tourism. And both of those entities are really interested in what is the economic impact by having an event like ours in that space. I'll also say most festivals in Chattanooga occur on the river, but those folks wanted it to be in downtown because they felt that would be a way to drive more economic impact. And I tend to agree. It's more lively and vibrant that way. So the success of this is not in the dollars at the ticket office per se, but how much are people willing to spend in the community to show that this was a great success? So
Do we have an expectation of how many people are going to be coming to Chattanooga for this?
since it's a first year, we don't have a real solid target. I think we have expectations around the size of the festival footprint, but there are just too many factors to say. I wish I knew. If I did, then I would sleep better at night.
Well, I'm going to do everything I can to help sell as many tickets as possible and get the
I
people to
appreciate it.
Chattanooga. Living in Chattanooga, I can say this location, moving away from the riverfront, I think is way more adaptive to certainly the Bluegrass Ramble, but the hotels and the lodging options, it's all a hop, skip, and jump from each other. And the riverfront, although it's established, it doesn't have the options that this part of town that you selected does. I really think it was a pro move.
Thanks. I do think the riverfront is a little isolated, and just for the casual fan, being able to see this in the center of downtown and be so close to great hotel options, great restaurant options, and then other attractions. Obviously Chattanooga is famous for lots of things, the aquarium, etc. It's just going to be a great experience for people to come.
I have noticed in the past, especially with Bluegrass, where Chattanooga oftentimes gets skipped over because they'll go from Nashville to Atlanta or Knoxville to Huntsville. And it's just close enough to those two major cities that usually we don't see quite as many musicians stopping. But certainly since the IBMA announcement, I've seen a dramatic uptick in bookings of bluegrass bands, both regionally and nationally, that are suddenly stopping in Chattanooga.
Yeah, I've noticed it too. I think there's always been a great audience and a great hotbed of music there, but you're right. As far as the business goes, a lot of tours stick to the major venues. And I think they're seeing the mistake of their ways and are including Chattanooga more. And I know we can't take credit for it, but
You
hey,
can
at
take
least we
credit
were on the
for it.
front end of that decision, right?
You can absolutely take credit for it. You put us on the map.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's on everybody's bluegrass radar now.
Well, I
Well,
mean, between Billy Strings coming and then Allison Krauss, I know is coming in August. I'm not sure when you're posting this, but you don't get much bigger than those two artists right there in your hometown. So that
yeah.
coupled with the great talent that we're going to put on the stage, I mean, there's a lot to choose from.
And many of the bands that are featured, I've discussed in previous episodes, and I'm certain I'm going to be discussing some bands that I'm discovering for the first time in the Bluegrass Ramble, or even in the convention center, or wherever they may be. There's probably a couple that I'm not even familiar with on the actual festival stage at the end of the week, but this is a massive undertaking. How many people between IBMA staff wise and volunteers and just ballpark idea of how many people does it take to create this?
Well, it takes a village. We only have 7 staff members. And so we have to reach out to lots of partners to make it happen. You kind of try to divide up the responsibilities and especially find local people in Chattanooga that have boots on the ground experience to help us pull this off. I can name a couple that are going to help us do some things. Chattanooga Presents, who works on Nightfall, and Three Sisters are helping us. Friends of the Festival, who do things on the river, they're also helping us pull this off. There's just I can't even guesstimate the number of folks that we have involved in this. Plus, we have a great need for volunteers, and we have our own network of those, but Chattanooga Tourism is also helping us staff our event with volunteer help. Yeah, it takes an army of love to pull off something like this.
I'm certain it's going to be spectacular. Now, you joined the IBMA as the executive director in the fall of 23. So
Yes.
this will be your second IBMA World of Bluegrass week. The first one was obviously the last one in Raleigh. So by then, I would imagine if there's such a thing as a smooth running ship, it was a smooth running ship.
It was.
But coming to Chattanooga, a lot of the activities are the same, but it's obviously a new footprint, a new city. There's a lot of things that have been going on for the first time. Are you going to have the ability at any point throughout the week to actually enjoy yourself and the fruits of your labor? Or are you going to be working 26 hours a day?
I'll be working 26 hours a day, but that doesn't mean I won't enjoy it. Yeah, it's the adage of if you're throwing the party, you don't really get to enjoy the party. I think that's kind of part of the experience. But while I probably won't get to see Billy perform when he's in town, just seeing the impact of that and some small snippets of what's going on. For instance, by the time we get to Saturday night at the festival, and also after the festival, there's going to be a late night party jam at the Signal, and which again, we're hoping many of the festival artists will take part in. That's still taking shape. But when I get to stand off stage and watch that happen, basically the event is done. That's when I'm going to get to enjoy it. But up until then, yeah, I'm just going to be all over the place.
You're going to be a busy guy.
Yes.
Oh, I can't tell you how excited I am. Now, I assume prior to, and I want to get into a little bit here, you've got some pretty extensive history with bluegrass as yourself, but you've been to an IBMA prior to you working with the IBMA.
Oh,
I
yeah.
assume.
Yeah. I'll give you a little of my backstory. I got a banjo for Christmas when I was 12. I grew up playing bluegrass in Louisville, Kentucky. And so I went to the first few IBMA events in Owensboro. And then when they moved to Louisville, I was there for a couple of those. After that, I
Now,
go ahead.
just sorry to interrupt, but
Sure.
you got the banjo at 12, and I found in my show prep that you won the Kentucky State Banjo Championship at age 14.
Yeah, I did. I don't usually lead with that, but
W-
yes, I did.
Well, I mean, it's remarkable in itself that you've won the Kentucky State Banjo Championship, but you did that and only playing a banjo for 2 years?
It was all consuming at the time. I loved it. And so you can say it changed my life. So coming to work for IBMA is kind of a full circle moment
That's
in that
outstanding.
regard. Yeah.
I'm sure I know that your position was heavily coveted. There had to be all kinds of people that interviewed for it. And you managed to get the position, which of course is impressive by itself, but you found a way to make a living as a professional bluegrasser.
I did for well,
That's a lottery ticket.
well, this was in my 20s and early 30s. So I don't know if you would call it making a living. I didn't miss any meals, but those were some lean times. And then once I had a son, then I had to make some choices. But I never quit playing music. I just wouldn't have called myself a professional at that point.
Well,
Once you're a musician, you never quit being a musician, even if you're not holding an instrument. So yeah, that informs a lot of what I do.
but you were actually prior to having a family and having some additional responsibilities besides feeding yourself, you actually participated in bands, you toured, you played several festivals.
Oh
I
yeah.
believe you played at Telluride, Rocky Grass.
Yep, played on the Grand Ole Opry. It was a great moment. I played in several situations. I played a summer with Vassar Clements, amazing fiddle player. I also played in a band with Deanie Richardson, who is our reigning fiddle player of the year, who fronts the band Sister Sadie. And then for about 5 years, I played in a band called New Tradition. And one of the leaders of that band was Danny Roberts, who is currently with the Grascals. Those were, and I played up to 200 dates a year with New Tradition. We traveled the country, and that's the band that I really got to do the most high profile playing with. So yeah, I was living the dream.
You're still living the dream.
Well, yeah, it's just a different dream.
It's a different dream, but you're still in bluegrass. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, you've also dabbled with some orchestra. I found some information that you participate with Wichita Symphony Orchestra, Louisville Mandolin Orchestra.
Yeah, you've done your homework. Yeah, I got the banjo. It was my first instrument, but guitar was really what spoke to me, and that's what I played professionally. But I picked up the mandolin, and I think, being a sideman, you teach yourself to be versatile. I actually went to music school for a couple of years, learned to read, but where I went to school, there was only really two paths, being a high school band director or trying to be Segovia. There wasn't much in between. And I knew I wasn't going to be either one of those. But being a hillbilly musician that could actually read notation helped me get a lot of different kind of gigs. I'll say playing mandolin in the middle of a 80-piece orchestra is another once in a lifetime thing. It's a beautiful sound, and to be a part of that is amazing. Actually, I got to perform an opera on stage. I was playing guitar and a friend played mandolin. We were wearing period costumes while the lead soprano sung an aria. So again, experiences
Is
that
that
banjo
available
players usually
anywhere?
get.
Is that available anywhere on YouTube or
No,
the, this
this
is
had to be late 80s, early 90s. I think there's a picture somewhere in a box of us, but no video.
wow.
But yeah, it was quite the thing.
That's amazing.
Another experience with the symphony, I got to play banjo for the first orchestration of George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. It was originally written for a jazz band, basically Paul Whiteman's orchestra. And then subsequently they reorchestrated it for a bigger band. But this performance, it was just a 24-piece jazz band, so to speak. And again, I sat next to a world-class pianist. It was a great piece, great fun.
That sounds amazing. And you've got a little bit of a jazz background too, then.
Totally. When I moved to guitar, Tony Rice was my hero. So the music he was playing with David Grisman really took me into lots of new places. So from David Grisman to Miles Davis to All Points Beyond, I was eat up with jazz. I like to say, for me, jazz appeals to my intellect, but bluegrass is my heart. So both of those things are equally important for me.
Well, and I think one of the things I really enjoy about bluegrass is the improvisation. And
Oh, yeah.
jazz has a lot of the similarities where you can hear the same song 100 times and not have it be the same.
Not just that. I think learning to improvise within a small group, that trains you for a lot of things in your life. And I think that has informed my other business practices, being able to improvise, being able to support other people in a small group, being able to think bigger picture. Those are all things you learn playing bluegrass and playing jazz, listening to each other.
And I'm assuming in jazz it's the same as bluegrass. Sometimes having the best member in the band isn't the one that plays musically the best, but that you get along well enough to spend life in the back of a van or sharing a hotel room or living together, literally living together.
I'll say being a musician, the 1 to 2 hours on stage is the easiest part of the job. It's the most fun part of the job. So it's super important that you're hanging around with people that you like. So yeah, I always, here's another one thing I learned is, to me, there are 3 reasons to take a gig. It either has to be good music, good people, or good money. I've got to have at least one of those as a reason to leave the house. If you got 2 of those, it's a great gig. If you have all 3, that's the gig I want to retire and do the rest of my life.
Not too many people do, unfortunately.
Nope. But at least, it's something to look for.
Absolutely. Yeah, bluegrass is music. Being a professional musician of any sort is a tough gig. And the fan base, we see the good part. We see those 2-3 hours on stage. We don't see the 3 a.m., there's no hotel attendant to check us in type scenarios.
Exactly. And you don't see all the 10,000 hours by yourself in a room that was spent to be good enough to do that job. Yeah.
Well, I got a guitar 12 years ago or so. My brother gave it to me, and I took a handful of lessons and ended up getting discouraged. But I've recently inherited my father's Martin D35 that he's the original owner of.
That'll inspire you.
And I feel obligated now. I absolutely positively have to learn. And a personal goal of mine is to at least be able to wing it in a beginner's jam at IBMA this fall, hoping to experience the inside. I'm always on the outside looking in. And as you mentioned earlier, a lot of the people that are attending IBMA also play instruments themselves, even if they're not professionals.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of like baseball in that regard. We've all played the sport, and that helps us appreciate the things that somebody like Shohei Ohtani does, even if we couldn't do them ourselves. I'll say on my musical journey also, I played with a lot of great folks, but it all comes back to you got to be having fun while you're doing it, no matter what your level is. And also doing it with other people to me, is where the value has always been. I love the sound of a guitar by myself in a room is great, but it's never as great as the sound you can make with someone else. So I always tell people, as soon as they learn those first 3 chords, you just need to get out and play with somebody else, and that will teach you a lot. Here I am giving you all my dad advice. Sorry, man.
No, I appreciate it. Randy Steele, who you met at the IBMA kickoff announcement. He hosts a standing jam for both beginners and intermediate every Tuesday at the Farrell House Ballroom in Chattanooga during the summer. And I went to my first jam last week. It was terrific. And there was enough people there that nobody knew I was missing all of the notes.
Well, my plan is
Safety
to
in
be in
numbers.
Chattanooga next week, so I'm hoping to be there. And so I hope you're there and we can play a tune together. I'd love that.
I am planning to come. So yeah, next Tuesday.
Awesome.
It'll be
I'll
awesome.
Be there, be square.
I just found, I'm jumping back to IBMA. I know we're starting to run out of time, but I just found in my show notes, my show prep, that Mayor Tim Kelly announced to expect 45,000 visitors and over $30 million in economic impact.
There you go.
I don't know
There's
if that's for all 3 years combined or if that's per year, but does that sound similar in line to what Raleigh's experienced the last several years?
Yeah, it is. So I'm hoping that is the experience that we have. I'm kind of in the seat where it's like, I'm going to throw a party and I hope people come. So, but yeah, that seems realistic as far as attendance and in return. That's what we're shooting for.
That's going to increase the city's population by almost 25%.
Or at least for a week.
So for the Bluegrass curious, for obviously the seasoned veterans, they've been coming to IBMA for a while. I'm coming for the first time, but I'm very involved in Bluegrass at this point. So I have a good idea what to expect. But what about, you mentioned earlier, the Bluegrass curious. What should the people tell their friends to come, or what should we know as the unexperienced IBMA attendee?
Obviously, a festival is going to offer the most variety to a casual listener as far as the different types of sounds that you could experience. And also, you're going to get the cream of the crop professionally. So coming to festival, you're going to get to walk between 3 stages, and I guarantee you'll find something that pleases your ears. So to the Bluegrass curious, come on down to the festival on the weekend. That to me is your best shot. If you want something a little bit more intimate, then definitely the Bluegrass Ramble is going to be a great experience for you, because if you don't like what's going on in this room, you can walk a block down the street and see what's happening in the next room. There's going to be a wide array of talent, and there's going to be something that catches your ear.
Are you still accepting volunteers? Do you need volunteers?
I believe there is a portal on our website to sign up to volunteer. Go to worldofbluegrass.org and look for opportunities there. Or you can reach out to Chattanooga Tourism. I believe they also have a volunteer portal.
And I will make sure to add both of those links in today's show notes so people can easily find them.
Thank you.
It's going to be a great time. I'm really excited. Is there anything that I've missed that you would like to tell us?
I mean, that's a lot. I will also say for the casual listener, the award show is going to offer some once in a lifetime performances. Again, we're still architecting what that experience is, but I can just by past award shows, there are going to be some pairings of artists and some that, you will never, ever get to see again.
There's performances taking place during the award show. It's not just the winner goes to.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm not producing the award show, so I don't want to speak for what it will be. But in the past, we tried to highlight performances by people that are up for Entertainer of the Year in particular. So those, you can see online who those folks are.
Allison Krauss and Union Station, Appalachian Road Show, Billy Strings, East Nash Grass, and the Del McCurry Band.
So, I mean, we likely will not get all of those because I know some of their schedules are in conflict, but I think that there will be a few of those. And I also know we have not announced the award show hosts. There's usually performances by them. And I can already tell you that's going to be amazing and spectacular. Some of the collaborations that were done that we're Collaboration of the Year. Likely some of those folks will perform. And you'll also see performances by the Hall of Famers, or at least the 2 living Hall of Famers. So those are going to also be amazing.
Yeah. I don't know how there's going to be a lot of coffee consumed.
Well, they say IBMA stands for I've been mostly awake. So that week, you're not going to get much rest if you're a diehard fan, unless you're me. Or if you're me, you won't get much sleep either. So you can sleep the next week.
That's right. Sleep and recover the following week. It's going to be a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. I hope the listeners got a lot out of this. We hope to get a lot of additional attendees coming to the Chattanooga this September 16th through the 20th. Tickets are available online at ibma.org. Is that correct?
And worldofbluegrass.org.
And
World of Bluegrass will get you there.
Fantastic. Come check it out. Come have an amazing time. And perhaps you'll see me. Perhaps you'll see Ken. Ken's going to be running around with his hair on fire. That's how you'll know it's him.
Yep.
And
exactly.
I'm going to be hoopering and hollering at least the beginning of the week. I'll probably lose my voice probably before the award ceremony even starts on Thursday. But we'll be certainly out and about throughout the week. Come say hi if you see us. And thank you for bringing IBMA and the World of Bluegrass to Chattanooga.
Thank you for supporting us. And I can't wait to see you at Randy Steele's Jam next week.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
Thanks, Ken.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for sticking around. Are you as excited as I am? There are still tickets available at ibma.org for the festival, the Bluegrass Music Awards, the business conference, Bluegrass Ramble, and the exhibit hall. So come on down to Chattanooga, or come up to Chattanooga, come east, come west, wherever direction you're coming from. Would love to have you come down and get yourself some bluegrass. If you see me, say hi. So now, make sure to come back next week. I'm going to have Adam Gruel from Horseshoes and Hand Grenades here, and we've got an amazing conversation in store. Can't wait to share it with you. Please come back next Wednesday. And more importantly, please stick around for a quick message from our sponsor, me.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Hello, I'm Trevor Shaw. I'm not just a bluegrass aficionado. I'm a bluegrass aficionado that's a mortgage loan officer at Chat Mortgage in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'd be honored for the opportunity to help you get your residential mortgage loan or refinance anywhere in Tennessee, Georgia, or Colorado. From veterans using their hard-earned benefits to first-time home buyers needing down payment assistance to retirees finally getting the home they've always dreamed of. Call or text me today at 864-50-T-SHAW. That's 864-50-T-SHAW.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Chat Mortgage is powered by Almeida Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 271603. Chat Mortgage is located at 6650 East Brainerd Road, Suite 208 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Phone number 423-591-9801. Trevor Shaw, NMLS number 92938.